Hi guys, welcome back to another timeless reading. This is filmed on Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. Neptune's about to go direct. So you may be feeling like you have nothing to do, like you won't have to do anything. It's like decisions we've already made. We're pulling from the Astrology Answers Tarot cards. This is the outside box. You can buy these exact cards off of Temu. I haven't seen it. Maybe there are on Temu, but I've seen them on AliExpress. Only reason I say that is because I am a Canadian consumer, and the price for this deck at the time was it was almost $100 Canadian, and they were already bent, increased, and everything. So I'm just like, no offense, I love Astrology Answers, I love Deborah Silverman, but it's just like, they need to more quality control. If you're gonna pay that kind of price on things, it's like, you need to sit there and look at those, like, you know what I mean? It's just not another purchase. It's not just another number. If you really care about your consumers, then it's like, okay, let's quality control these. I understand things happen at the printers and stuff like that. They come unsealed, so maybe they were used. I don't know. But keep it 100. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, they're the greatest. Yeah, they're great for tarot deck meetings. I love Deborah Silverman and her webinars and everything. I've told you guys millions of times that I want to sit there and become a certified astrologist, but whoever's handling the products needs to be better. Needs to be more consistent. So we're starting off with the Three of Wands. The universe has your back. Your ship is about to come in. Oh, getting back to Neptune. This is a decision you made. So it's, you know what I mean? It's like, this is something you said out loud. You know what I mean? With myself, it's just like, even like if you see the videos that I've been posting, it's just like, they're like Pastor West, he sat there and he's just like, even taking the smallest steps, consistency every single day. It's just like, when we work out or changing what we put in our bodies, like, you know what I mean? Our mental health, fighting that shadow side, like, seriously, like, I'm sitting there and I'm just like, God, I was talking about this yesterday. I felt something come in, a channel message, and I'm like, no, it's just shadow energy. It was actually true. You know what I mean? So it's just like, when people come into my mind and I feel that, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just pray for them. I'm going to say a prayer over them, because not everybody wants to share their business. It's like, hey, this is going on. But it's like, if I would have known that, I would have been praying for them. You know what I mean? So I'm going to take that as a lesson. You know what I mean? We're always learning, growing, expanding. It's like, when I get that channel message in, I'm going to pray for them. I'm going to sit there and send some positive light their way. You know what I mean? So it's like, I get that, because it's just like, some people overshare everything on the Book of Faces. That, like, oh, it's like 48 days until such and such, or maybe they just are looking for positive, like, affirmations, or they know, like, my friends know, the people that I hope that care about me, because you see people doing it all the time. I'm gonna purge my Facebook, and if you make it, you make it. You don't, just understand, it's just like, I don't feel like we resonate anymore. You know what I mean? So maybe that's why they post it, but it's just, some people, I get it. Some people, I'm just like, why? You're oversharing, but it is what it is. So 9 of Cups, your future is beautiful. Everything's lining up, being patient. So talking about those little steps that you take. So it's like, is it studying in that, watching people that inspire you, and it's like, ooh, I like that. And then, sitting there and put it in a mixing bowl. You stir it up and you make it your own, and you come out and it's like, I've been inspired by this one. So always shouting out the people that inspire you, the channels, or the talks of ticks and all that good stuff, the grams of Insta, like, whoever inspires you, whoever is very truthful, whoever is speaking to your soul. It's like, damn, it's like you're like the Fugees, strumming my pain with his fingers. He's playing the guitar, he's pulling on her heartstrings. It's like he read her letters and read them out loud. You know what I mean? They speak to your soul. So they're saying what is coming forward is already a part of you. So when you see the Magician, it's following your intuition. We definitely get this yellow hue of, like, your spirituality, your intuition. It's like you're a hard worker. Spirit sees everything you do. You don't need to post it anywhere and be like, oh, guess what I did today? Like, I sat there and I donated to da-da-da-da. It's like, you don't need to do that. I understand when it's like GoFundMes and stuff like that. It's like, you're encouraged, or toy drives and stuff like that. I understand that thing, but it's like, you don't have to post a receipt unless you're like, donate to this and it's going to somewhere, because people are just ugly. Like, even if they're like, we need to see your receipt. We need to see that like, my cousin literally sat there and was like accepting donations for relief for Jamaica. And she's sitting, and she's on the ground. So she went to, I believe it was Costco, bought, I think it was like $900 worth of stuff. And she showed everything. And I understand where she's coming from because she's putting, she put herself out there. And she's like, anyone that wants to donate to the relief, and we're getting it to the places that it needs to be. Because 99% of the time, you will see people that are I can never say that word. People that are doing good, that are putting their heart in the right places, where they sit there and they'll come with 6 water purification systems with X, Y, and Z supplies. And they will go to that specific country, and their government, as they land, goes through everything, and they will take, if there's 6 purifiers, they'll take 5. I'm like, are you kidding me? They're here to help, and you're taking away resources. Like remember when Katrina happened and they had warehouses of donations, and the people that needed it never got it? It just sat there, they got rotten, and they ended up throwing most of it out. I was like, are you serious? But, I don't know, just, we as people of this earth put too much, you know what I mean? I understand it's a system, and it's like, oh, without structure, there's chaos. But it's just like, you guys create the chaos 99% of the time. Our hearts are in good places. Like, they just introduced a tax in Ottawa. I don't know if this is Worldwide Canada again, but they're just like, I understand I don't know. It's like, all of your businesses are going to be taxed the same way. You walk into City Hall or anything like that, the heat just wafts you in the face, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're taking off your layers. It's like, are they going to get the same tax? You walk into Walmart in the middle of summer, you're freaking melting to death. Same thing with winter. It's like, oh, we're keeping you warm and toasty, so you stay inside and shop more. You know what I mean? It's just like, come on. You're going to charge people for heating their home when we get minus 26 temperatures in Canada? Like, worse when you're up north? Negative 45? Come on. Like, tell us you're taxing us to death without telling us you're taxing us to death. Stupid. Anyway. 8 of Wands. So this is usually a Cupid's arrow, Sagittarius energy. This is the universe pulling you back and releasing. So you may feel exhausted. Like, I woke up exhausted yesterday. Well, not exhausted, tired. Let's not be over dramatic here. But I woke up tired, and I'm like, you know what? You're already awake. Like, I was tired, but I was like awake enough to be like, girl, just get up and get just putter around and try to get some stuff done. That's what I did. Same thing today, not as bad as yesterday. I'll put some more NRC in my water. You don't have to sit there and get a cup of water, put that in and drink it whole. Like, if you have a tumbler, or if you have so whatever you use for your daily water, just sprinkle a little bit in there, mixy. Every time you fill it up, if you use a tumbler, sit there and put it in your water, and you'll definitely feel the difference the next day. I feel different today, but it's just like, ugh. I woke up with a pressure headache, winter allergies, gotta love them. What a freaking joke, eh? It's like you freaking, go through winter, and it's like you still have allergies. Love this spread. This spread is giving. You know what I mean? Ace of Cups. The universe fills your cup. You fill other people's cups. We've been talking about this for days and days and days, especially this time of year. One thing I want to say is that I am celebrating Hanukkah starting this Sunday. So that is a top priority. So if you are booking readings and you want to get it done, just know that that's, top priority. Especially Sunday will be a busy day because I do have another job. But Sunday I will not do readings. I have to see what the instructions are for that time. I believe there's no work that day, the first day. But you know what I mean? I believe maybe there I gotta check. I don't want to misinform. But you know what I mean? It's just like for the 8 days, that will be a priority. So if you are going to book a reading, just be mindful of that. Anyone that's ever got a reading from me before knows that it's just like, I sit there and I prioritize you guys. Like, I sit there and very determined, very dedicated, making sure people aren't waiting. Because, by the time you purchase a reading, it's just like, you probably already sat there and it's like, you've been pondering it for like, a couple of weeks. They're showing like 6 weeks or something. Because sometimes it's like, a lot of people I read for, especially if it's people I've read for consistently, it's just like, reassuring, what they're feeling, what they're being pulled towards. So, like, going with the Ace of Cups, it is a charitable time, giving where you can. Like, when, Yahweh, Yeshua, Divine Creator, Gaia, Mother Earth, the higher self sits there and sees what you're doing. Like, they already knew you were going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely felt some sort of way this year because it's just like, I want to do this, I want to do this. But you know what a blessing was? I'm very thankful. We've been here almost 9 years, and I feel like we're just opening up to this community because it's just like, living up north, you really weren't, you know what I mean? You were isolated. But here, it's just like opening to all the charities that are around us. I still will give to the charities up north because it's just like, that was our home for 6 years. But it's just like, where we could give back because unfortunately the Salvation Army closed in town here, and they had a wonderful program that helped families in the community. And with food prices soaring, and they're going to soar some more because the beef farmers are struggling, so it's going to increase the cost. Like, it's already like $30 for 2 pounds of ground beef. You know what I mean? Or is that 4 pounds of ground beef? You know what I mean? Like, if you get it freshly from, like, if the Walmart butcher or whomever, or if you go to the superstore. But you know what I mean? It's like, no offense, Canadians are very generous. We all know that. That's the kind of heart we have. But you're sitting there taking our tax dollars that could be reinvested into the healthcare system, the mental health system, into housing, and you give it to a space program in the EU. And it's like, no offense, but don't you think you should prioritize the people that have voted you into, well, if you want to say that, that you have been elected, so quote unquote, I don't feel like you were elected because a lot of people didn't vote the way that it went. But, it's just like you made all these promises, food costs were going to go down. We've yet to see that, So it's just like, we are trying to sit there and help people in our community that have gone through rough situations, are dealing with rough situations, that are sitting there trying to do better, that sit there and maybe just need a leg up, just maybe need some hope. You know what I mean? That money could help them out with hydro. That money could go towards school supplies, winter coats, mitts, hats, scarves, socks, underwears. Get the kids something nice that they can enjoy besides clothing for Christmas. Bedding, toiletries, It's just like, why are we not taking care of our people? You know what I mean? It's like, no offense, but it's like, I understand Ukraine, but, but at the same time, it's like now you're giving to the space program. Why don't you help people that are here? And I'm sure a lot of countries would agree with that. You're giving it to here, there, everywhere. You know what I mean? And it's like, we're trying to help our fellow people, but you keep on whipping our backs. This is going back. This is very book of Exodus with Moses. You know what I mean? If you have the Passover book, the Haggai, I hope I'm saying that right, and they show that. It's just like, yeah, you're not doing brick and mortar anymore, but you're in the office, you're in a cubicle, you have people yelling at you. Same thing, isn't it? It's just like, we're trying to help our fellow man because you're not doing it. So stop hurting the ones that are trying to help others. Like, like enough already. Like, I get ticked off because it's just like, more and more, like, if you watch, I know news is all about freaking scare tactics and all this garbage, but it's just like, when you actually know people that face that reality, it's like, come on, do better. 4 Pentacles, or 4 of Wands. Remember they were talking about someone going on vacation? I said maybe this was like, because like you were putting your family first. But celebrations, foundations of the home, very Victor wearing the wreath because they have the wreaths around their head. But, this is like celebrations of engagements, marriages. This is a time of year for that. Also, they're saying moving in together. So someone's moving in together with someone. So maybe this is something you were just like, it makes sense that we live together, financially, but it's like, I love you. Like, that's why I want you here. I want to wake up beside you. You're here all the time anyway. You know what I mean? So it's just like, celebrations in that way. Baby showers are celebrating like maybe a gender reveal they're showing. So it's just, or maybe like you had a home or maybe you were renting before and now you're getting a bigger place, like a bigger house because you're expanding your family. So it's just like celebrations. You know what I mean? It's just like retrograde energy will be over on the 15th. I understand that there's opportunities that come up. Just know that sometimes hiccups will happen in there. Or there's some, BS. But it's just like, moving forward is what they're saying. Forward is the word they're showing. But they're showing here the Knight of Swords. So this could be like shadow energy rushing in to disturb you and to hold you. I feel like this is where the Knight of Swords comes in, and they're showing that you wanted to move forward. Let's put this in our upright position for a minute. It's like you had the strength. You know, if you don't feel like you have the strength, call upon Yahweh, Yeshua, Gaia, Mother Earth, you know, higher self, whomever you believe in, you know, to move forward. But I feel like because this Nine of Swords is rushing in, it's like now you're like, do I really want to sit there and move forward? You know, this is where it's like, you know, moving into 2026. This is all about forward motion. You know, it was the year of the snake going into the Chinese zodiac, and it's like that was all about shedding. You know, I definitely felt this shed happen. You know, it was just like, it's kind of like widow fog, but not as deep as widow fog. You know what I mean? Widow fog is where you're trying to think clearly and you can't. So it's, I don't know if it would be like hangover energy. Like, thank God haven't done that, you know, since Shane is transformed. I don't think I've ever been like that since a mom, because it's like you always want to be on alert, right? But they're saying letting your hair down. Maybe you're trying a new hairdo. I'm like trying to do more curly hair. My hair is curly. Yeah, first day is not bueno. But it's like embracing your curls, you know what I mean? So it's a little harder in the winter, especially if you have to shovel snow in the storms, but it is what it is. I just mentioned that because they're mentioning putting your hair down. But just be mindful of people putting seeds in, or be mindful of shadow energy. You know what I mean? Like, I know my bestie had some sort of situation where it changed things and they had to go back, you know what I mean? Kind of recant. You know what I mean? But I was just like, this is kind of what they were talking about here, you know? But you will be successful. This is a brand new beginning, and I feel like if you are starting a brand new beginning, this is a positive affirmation, even though that or confirmation, even though the Knight of Swords is here. They're doing this on purpose. They're showing weak in the knees. You're not sure of this. You know what I mean? I feel like the knees are shaking. They're purposely showing the knees. So it's like, you're not sure about this. Are we ever sure about any way we move forward? Like, I remember moving out and I'm like, I had no idea how I was going to pay for the bills. I worked 3 jobs. But it's like, it was taken care of. We have justice. So very air energy. We get a lot of air here, right? So clearing the air, embracing your fire. You know what I mean? Asking universe to help you out here. So embracing justice, balancing things out. So maybe you've been feeling off of balance, or things have been out of balance, right? And it's just like universe is like, it's coming in. If you have anything in the court system, this is working in your favor. Again, this could be confirmation of an engagement or a marriage. Maybe you're going to City Hall if they're showing the word City Hall. So it's just like, you know, sitting there and, you know, going down and getting married. Justice of the peace is what they're saying. So it's just like, someone may be actually coming to your door. Yellow envelope. So I guess you're being served or something, or they had a hard time contacting you. I don't know how they found you. Well, the universe. You know what I mean? This happened to me after Shane passed away. Something went, and then it's like it found me. I was just like, you know, Hermit. So I don't feel like this is coming out of hibernation. Well, it could be in that way as well. You know what I mean? Like I was saying, like I definitely feel like being more part of the community and stuff, like being more aware of our surroundings, kind of thing. Like, you know, so taking us out into the world. But I feel like things are being divulged to you. Very high priestess energy. They're showing a snake in your path, and I feel like that's where that knight comes in. It's like, so this could be like you're in a relationship or you're single. Someone comes in here, and they're trying to sit there and manipulate your energy. So my bestie, you know, she knows who that is. They text, they're not consistent. Hey, what you doing? You know what I mean? And it's just, you know what I mean, waste of time. So it's kind of like that. Giving false hope. Waking people's heart without, you know, any intention of loving you. Any intention of putting your best foot forward. This is all about them. This is all about the second head. You know what I mean? So it's just like, out of lust is a better word. And they're showing, you know, concentrate on your pentacle energy right now. You know, we got this double balance in here, and this is where your finances could be balancing. They did show the Ace of Cups, and it's like things that you want to give to. You know what I mean? Like, we had a toy run that I wasn't aware of, but thankfully we were able to sit there and be part of where the RCMP were doing filling the trunk for the food pantries. So, you know, the partnership was with Sobeys, and they were fabulous. They already had like a table full of stuff, and this is the staples that they're looking for, and it's like you could. You know what I mean? You could sit there, buy the bags. Sometimes they're paper bags, sometimes they're the cellophane ones, and you just sit there and, you know, whatever you can, you know, so they can have like staples. But it's like, this is where I understand where the EPT cards come in handy, because it's like, you know, if you have a picky eater in the family, you know what I mean? It's like, are you let that child starve because they're picky? It's not their fault they're picky. Probably one of the moms or dads were picky. Shane was picky, you know, it came down to Junior. So it's just like, you know, I can understand where it's just like being able to buy the things that, you know, I always make sure that he has everything he needs in the house, even if he's not eating it at the time, because it's like he switches all the time. But it's just like, you know, I'll ask him before I go to the grocery, are you still eating this? So I know I have it. So anytime, you know, maybe he gets a little bit more hungry, he has more than enough to eat whatever he wants. You know what I mean? Whereas Michael and myself, it's just like, you know, make whatever. Generally, I'll pick at it, just try a sample, which I love, because it's like you shouldn't discourage, you know, your picky eater not to try things. I'm like, sample. How are you going to know you like anything if you don't sample it? So don't discourage them sampling. I don't care if my kid eats off my plate. At least he's eating. You know what I mean? That's where I understand where the EPT cards are handy. That's what I was saying to my mom. I'm like, what do they do about the picky eaters? You know what I mean? It's just like, I have ideas and aspirations and stuff that I want to do when I get to that point. So it's like, never give up on those, because you never know. Like, even my soul sister, we were talking about that. I'm like, look at all the things you guys do for your church, for, you know, to show fellowship. You know, you sit there and you supply eggs to everybody. You sit there and they had pigs, and they sat there and they're giving roast and everything to everybody at the church. It's like, you know how you never know what you've done for them. Like, you know, they're like, you know, that's a nice meal. Like, you know, to have fresh eggs that are, you know what I mean, straight from, you know, from the farm to their table. You know, where they sit there and they get a very well-sourced piece of meat. And it's like, that could be the best meal they have. You know, that could be for their Christmas meal. You never know. So it's just like, never sit there and think that your good deeds are not being... I know she's not doing it for that reason. That's where her soul and her heart is being called to. And I'm like, you know what? You're on the right path. You know, don't listen to others, because let people. You know how people are. People always have something to say. They're more negative than positive. It's like, oh, da 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 da. It's like, you know what? Screw you. What did you do? What are you doing to help your fellow man? Yeah, maybe you're not farming, you're not doing that kind of stuff. But what are you doing? What did you bring in to help out your fellow man? What did you bring to the table? You know. So it's just like, you know. That's where I feel like that Knight of Swords. That person that always... That's the thing. It's like, why are you surrounding yourself with someone like that? That's always poo-pooing on good deeds. You know? Or how you have your heart in the right place, and you know what I mean? Just to be an a-hole. That's the universe showing you. That's someone you don't need to be around. Doesn't need to be in your energy. Following your intuition. We were just talking about that. Following your intuition. I know shadow energy can be strong, especially if you're someone that does feel, you know, the new moon energy, the cold moon energy. That was hard. That was rough. The retrograde energy, it's just like, you know what I mean? It's just like that it feels so strong, because it's like it was ingrained into your skin, into your cells, into your being. And now it's like this hard pull. Like, you know, when you do, like, you know, people sit there and gargle with coconut, and they do the coconut pull, or I can't remember what the heck it's called. But I knew a lot of people that were doing that, and it's just like, it's taking the toxins out of you. You know what I mean? Something that was like, you know, they were talking about like people that were going through the separation, divorce, bereavement, and it's just like, you know, purging that. That was a part of you. That was part of chapter, but you've grown, you changed, you transformed. You know what I mean? You're not the same person you were when you got together in that relationship. So it's like, you know, you like myself feel tired. Make sure you're drinking your water. Get some Energy. It's in the cold and medication aisle. You know, just sprinkle a little bit in your water. You know, a healthy way to boost your energy, especially in these colder, wintry months. It's like your body is, you know, sitting there and trying to keep you warm. Temperance, a lot of balance energy, very Libra, air energy. Again, being in your head. But I feel like that is a person, that Knight of Swords energy. You know? And it's like learning to balance. Usually in this card, you see the daffodil. So it's like something we're working on, something that we're transforming into. Like, Pastor West was saying, the littlest steps, consistency. What was she saying? No more second guessing in that song. That really stood out to me. No more second guessing. No, just do it. You know what I mean? And the more you do it, just like I started tarot cards, you know what I mean? It's just like the more you do it, the more consistent you are, the more you sit there and do readings. It's like you will get the confidence. And it's not being arrogant, it's confidence because you're sure about who you are and what you possess in you. Like the Magician card here. We're getting a lot of the same cards we got from yesterday. Foil deck yesterday, this is the astrology answers today. But it's like coming out of this energy of where, and this is where that blessing could have came in. The higher selves, Source, Yahweh, Yeshua, Divine Creator, Gaia, Mother Earth, they sat there and blessed someone's hands and they blessed yours. And they used your hands to bless others. Going back to this Six of Pentacle energy, you know what I mean? Where it's, you're able to sit there and make a difference. Where you're sitting there and able to sit, you know what I mean? Because unfortunately, a lot of us, fortunately and unfortunately, it keeps you humble. You probably grew up that way, so you want to sit there, better your life, and then use your hands to help others. God blessed your hands to bless others. Going back to the Six of Pentacles. Don't go so crazy. Don't think you have to do 38%, 10%, any of that. Whatever you feel comfortable giving, you know what I mean? Maybe you can give to multiple things. But whatever you can give, and then sit there and make sure that you have a nice nest. They're showing like a nest. Making sure your foundation is good, sure-footed. But they kept bringing up sure-footed like a deer. You know what I mean? So they're showing like, maybe this is what you were feeling like. This is the energy you were feeling. You were feeling all tied up, didn't know what to do. You're feeling left out on the cold. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it makes you kind of like, this is the time of year of depression, right? With us, it's like, celebrating two monarchs in our family, their birthdays. We always do this, but it's like, my dad hit me hard this year, and then Shane was later on. But it's just like, it's like, but I still have a lot to be grateful for. That, like, they were reminding us, I don't know if I posted that yet or not, but like, again, Pastor West, remember to be thankful for the things that you prayed for before that you're currently living in, that you're currently celebrating, that you're currently, you know what I mean? It's like we overlook that a lot, and it's just like financial freedom, financial consistency, home consistency, you know what I mean? When you have your foundation rocked that way, it's like, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, life be lifing, you know what I mean? Shane was an timely death. Like, it's nothing like he was, even if someone did have, like, God forbid, some sort of illness, you know what I mean? It's just like, nothing prepares you for that loss. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're spiritual, it's a temporary separation, but your heart doesn't understand that. You know what I mean? For me, it felt like a cannon went through me, a cannonball. It was just like this big hole in me, And it's just like, you learn to build around that. And then eventually that gets close. And I tell my boys that all the time. You will meet someone, like I met your dad, and, God blessed us with children. And it's like you will slowly start there to see that these wonderful things come into your life because they want you to be happy. It's like you will always miss that person. They'll always be a part of you. They're ingrained in the fabric of your being. You know what I mean? But there's nothing wrong with being happy. Find the things in your life that make you happy. Michael, it's his paintings, his drawings, his videos. Junior, it's, video games, his drawings, his videos. You know what I mean? It's like Michael, his passion, his faith. It's just like finding what makes you happy again and building around it. And don't feel guilty for building around it because that's what your loved one would want. They want you to be happy, And even if this is a separation, divorce, it's like you deserve to be happy. That didn't work out. It's messed up. Take what take your licks, learn what you learned from there, but you sit there and you smush them all up, whatever the bad is, and turn it into something beautiful. They talk about that. Transmuting that negative energy, pushing it down to the core earth, because what is it? It's, it's a fire. Pushing it into that fire and let it transmute it to something beautiful. Using your hands to bless others, helping others that, oh God forbid, go through those situations. Nine of Wands. So again, following your intuition as you go forward. And I feel like, people, they're trying to show to you like, you know, this is wrapping everything up. We were just talking about that, moving towards 2026. 2026 is being more sure-footed like a deer. No more second guessing yourself. You feel drawn to do something, I was talking to my son about this. It's like, you're going to sit there, and even if that, this happens, it's like, don't worry about it. I'm not that type of person. It's like, I want you to sit there and try everything and anything, and you have no regrets, because at least you tried. At least you know what I mean? You did, that's where you thought your heart was calling you, but it was just like, you were bored. I feel like he would be bored, but they're showing, I don't feel like we're bored with our life. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up with life. But it's just like, letting them bring this into your life. Allowing, you know what I mean? We ask for manifestations and blessings, but we want it a certain way. And it's like, sometimes that can't happen. So allow them to sit there and bring the things in your life that you've been calling for. And I feel like because you've been independent for so long, you know what I mean? It's just like, ugh, I don't want it from this one because, sometimes, especially toxic people, it's like there's a consequence. Oh, remember when I did that for you? Oh, remember? It's like, yeah, but I did the same thing. You throw that, no, well, we don't need to talk about that. How dare you? It's like, well, you have no problem throwing my garbage out there. You don't have no problem throwing out my, when I was going through something. These cards are like repetitive. Like, my gosh. Eight of Pentacles again. This is where I was saying, like, if you're doing something and they're saying no more second guessing yourself, I feel like someone's hairdressing. Yeah. So they're showing the, healing in your heart. But healing can be so many things, right? But it's releasing. You know what I mean? And I feel like this is where it's like concentrate on work endeavors. I feel like this will help heal your heart. Oh, this will help bring people into your life that will help inspire and move you forward. And they're showing the Two of Cups. Again, with the Eight of Wands and the Two of Cups, it doesn't intertwine energy. We're talking about the fabric, someone intertwining your fabric of your being. This doesn't necessarily have to be love. This could be, this winter allergies are kicking my butt. So getting back to the cards, when we got the Eight of Wands there earlier, it's like healing of your heart, and it's like this could be a new friendship, a fur baby, maybe. I keep saying that in Love After Loss, or Life After Loss, bereavement group, and it's just like, get yourself a pet. You know what I mean? If you have like a, a stable home, it's like that unconditional love. Like, I always sit there and I hold Sunny and I would sit, I know people are like, oh, just a dog, whatever. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you know what? That little freaking, whatever, how many pounds he is now, brought so much unconditional love and joy. Like, his name is Sunny. Like, he was a rehome. And it's like how much sunshine he brought into our life. What a blessing. You know what I mean? Like, I am so very incredibly thankful that he came into our life and that he's our forever fur baby. You know what I mean? Like, I love how tiny he is because it's like he's like a forever puppy. You know what I mean? And it's like we have a lot of fun with him. It brings a lot of joy into our life. We're always still fighting over him 4 years later. You know what I mean? It's like, we're very lucky to have him. It's like get yourself some unconditional love that way. Go to the Humane Society, or if you see someone, you see it a lot of the time, like we have one rehoming animals. It's like sit there and, give that little bundle of joy some unconditional love as well. That's like, what a blessing, but definitely something, if you're able to. Queen of Pentacles, going back into like, sitting there and, giving to others, but that's what I feel like. It's like you fill other people's cups, so it's just like, you know what I mean? So Judgment, they were talking about this recently. It's like, be open to signs. So they mentioned crows, you know what I mean? And I posted it before, maybe I'll repost it again, but they were showing what the number of crows means, like 1, 2, da 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 da. But I feel like with us, like, we've always fed the birds. When we lived in Ontario, we lived in Toronto, North York, we would feed the cardinals. Oh my gosh, I miss cardinals. Blue jays. My aunt hated blue jays. I can still hear those mother effing blue jays. She's like, all they do is throw the bird seed out. I'm like, I know, right? I'm like, but they don't like the seed. They like the sunflowers. And we would get peanut that's mixed with peanuts. And I'm like, why don't I just get peanuts? So stop throwing everything around. But shofar, you know, we're talking about, you know, Hanukkah starting on Sunday, but it's just like being open to messages from Spirit. You hear someone call your name and no one's in the room, just say, "Here I am." Like, if you read the Bible, you know, how many of them, like, you know, spoke to Daniel and it's like they were asleep, you know, that dream sleep state, and it's just like they say your name, like, "Here I am." It's like you're letting them know, "I'm here. I'm open into receiving messages." You know what I mean? Or it's just like, you know, you're having a bad day and one of your favorite birds, you know, comes around, or favorite animals, or something that puts a smile on your face, like that chickmunk. I tried to get a picture of him before, but Sonny started barking at him and he left. But Wheel of Fortune. So this is where it's like, stop, like, in our fear, like, I just posted Kanye West, like, you know, because I kept talking about it, and they were showing a video on YouTube. And I was able to screenshot when he's like, you know, most people sit there and are too afraid to try. Like, you know, when that lady, the young lady in the song there that Pastor West posted, where she was like saying, no more second guessing yourself. You know, because they're telling you, hey, do this. But, you know, the post that I did with Pastor West, it's like even the smallest steps. You know, sit there. And so this King of Swords keeps popping out. So this is like, you know, being mindful of your lead foot here. Speed is what I get. So be careful of that. You know, sometimes we get caught up with what everybody else is doing around us. So it's like, oh, I'm speeding. Okay, there's the high priestess there. So we are heading to a new moon. You know, and it's kind of, oh man, we're in for a whopper here. So 15th, the retrograde ends. Neptune is going direct for us. And then, it's new shadow energy, new moon shadow energy, you know? So it's just, you know what I mean? Keep yourself grounded. If you're able to, like, today is way too cold, but if you're able to sit there and go for, you know, a walk, it's a little too chilly and cold here. We're expecting a storm coming in later in the evening. But you know what I mean? It's supposed to be warm on Thursday, so we'll go for a walk on Thursday. You know what I mean? And get out in the fresh air. You know, just that's one thing, way to ground yourself. Meditation is another one. You know, so even prayer. Some people say prayers are a form of meditation. You know what I mean? Be consistent. Talk out loud. Talk to your loved ones. Well, a lot of love. And again, this could be, you know what I mean? Just unconditional love. Just, you know, they're saying copacetic, but I feel like it's just like a mutual respect for each other. Okay, I'll end it on this one. Have to. It's at the bottom of the deck. Going along with that Nine of Cups, Nine of Pentacles, rebirth in our life. And that's what they're saying. It's just like, be sure-footed like a deer. You see that a lot in the Bible. It's like they you know, deers aren't worried about slippery rocks and moss and all this stuff because God makes their feet sure-footed. And they're talking about, you know, nervous, you know, stage fright. You know what I mean? And especially the climate that we're in, people make all these dumbass accounts and then, oh, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And it's just like, okay. You know, a lot of people are growing balls though. They're just like, you know what? You're gonna, you know, they'll sit there and block out their name, but it's just like this comment right here. And it's just like, we'll call you out. You know what I mean? It's just, my gosh, people just be. It's like, find something else to do better with your time. Use your time for a better resource. You know, I just felt compelled to pull, and it's just like exactly like we got yesterday. So you know, let's go with that. Very positive reading overall. But you know what I mean? Just give your time and energy. And this is not being selfish or anything. This is just having healthy boundaries. People that make you feel like garbage is like, you know what? You're toxic. I don't want to be part of your toxicity. It's just, you have a lot of things that I just don't resonate with and I don't want to be around. And it's just like, you know, final nail in the coffin. It's just like, go away. You know what I mean? It's just, you know what I mean? Get them out of your inner circle. You don't need that. You know what I mean? It's like, building blocks is what they're saying. So I don't know if Roblox is part of this. I don't know if that's a positive confirmation for you as Roblox, but they're showing Legos. I know Mama Cookie's son's birthday's coming up and they were showing, you know, she's going to make Lego blocks out of Rice Krispie treats and stuff like that. His birthday's on Saturday, I believe. So maybe that's why he's showing up, but it's just like, you know, do things that make you happy, what you're passionate about. You know what I mean? Have love for yourself. Do small things for yourself consistently every day. Is that brushing your teeth? Is that just getting up and, you know, being in the sunlight? you know, that's a beautiful thing I used to do. I would sit there and I would open, not so much here because it's so busy, but, you know, up north, I would open up the curtains and I would just sit there and let the sunshine just shine on my face, you know, and let the light into the house. But it's just like, you know, getting back to the things you love. That feeds your inner child. Doing the things that you love, things that resonate. Going to the, obviously, I don't know about going to the beach right now. It's freaking cold, but I would love to see the. I like seeing when the ice comes up on the beach though. We used to do that in Ontario. We would walk out so far we could see the water because it would be. They obviously don't recommend that, but it was like thick, 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 like really thick. So it's just like do things for yourself. Be positive, and you know what I mean. And take those little baby steps. Even if you're sitting there just studying right now, you know what I mean? Like me, I'm getting things lined up. Like I was talking to my bestie about that. I'm like, well, I've been playing with this and this and that, and you know, taking the courage, especially with that retrograde hangover energy, and we have Hanukkah starting, so it's like that'll be over the 15th. So if you're able to start something new, start it after the 15th. Start the 16th. You know, because that energy is lifted, and then you could just sit there and, you know, and again, if mistakes happen or you know what I mean, it doesn't look professional or whatever. It's just like you're learning. It's the first one. Have empathy on yourself. You know you know the critics. They're not going to have empathy on you. Screw them. Keep going anyway. Keep posting. You want to sit there and get to that next level. This is what you have to do. Stop second guessing yourself. Be positive. Believe in yourself. Drink your water. Get your sleep if you're able to. But you know what I mean. Like myself, I was like, I'm wide awake. I'm tired, but I'm wide awake. So I'll just put some Inner Sea in my water and hopefully that'll give me the boost to get me until 2 in the morning. Good Lord. But take care of yourself, you know? Be mindful of what you're doing. Feed your soul. May the universe bless you good. We'll see you for the next one.